Here is a Transcendental Meditation Retreat Center located in the Blue Ridge Mountains on the east coast of the United States. It is built according to Maharishi Vastu architecture and utilizes principles from the Passive House Standard to be extremely energy efficient with minimal impact on climate change. Here is a quick review of Maharishi Vastu architecture. It's the most ancient and complete system of architecture and planning in accord with natural law to create good health and happiness. It connects individual life with cosmic life and individual intelligence with cosmic intelligence. And it consists of universal principles for building in harmony with natural law. These universal principles of Maharishi Vastu architecture can be applied in any style, in any climate, in any environment, using appropriate materials and technologies. In the old days, earth, stone, and wood were the building materials of choice. Nowadays, there are many additional materials and technologies available for Maharishi Vastu building. Today, we're going to discuss some modern sustainable approaches to building. To start off, here is an overview of the Passive House Standard, a systematic approach which addresses the modern challenge of climate change. It's a great little video.
Hey everybody, here's a short Passive House Basics cram session. Simply put, the Passive House approach empowers us to build better, creating durable, resilient buildings that slash energy use and carbon emissions. Most importantly, Passive House buildings provide healthy, comfortable, and quiet interior environments full of clean, filtered, fresh air. How do designers and builders achieve all of this? Is it crazy hard? Does it require a physics degree? Does it mean using a bunch of wackadoodle construction techniques? No, it does not. For all you designers, you'll have a package of design principles and ready-made digital tools at your fingertips to help you design buildings that keep people healthy and happy. For all you builders, Passive House is more an evolution in practice than a revolution. It's about better materials, attention to detail, and care in how assemblies go together, guided by building science. The kind of pride in craft that probably got you into construction in the first place. The 5 classic Passive House principles are: 1. Continuous insulation, wrapping buildings in a thermal barrier that keeps them warm in the winter and cool in the summer. 2. No thermal bridges, so careful detailing to avoid any building elements that allow heat or cool to bypass that thermal barrier. 3. Airtight construction, creating an airtight layer that acts like a windbreaker, stopping air from penetrating to the inside. 4. High-performance windows and doors that are airtight, thermally broken, insulating, and that manage solar gain. And 5. Fresh air ventilation with heat recovery, creating havens of clean air and energy efficiency. Passive House applies to all building types and can fit any architectural style, so don't be fooled by the house in the name Passive House. In the original German Passive House, the house, or H-A-U-S, connotes building more generally. A passive house can be an apartment block, a school, a museum, a firehouse, a retail store, a hospital, a cafe, a high-rise office tower, the building standard for an entire district of a city, and pretty much any building type you can imagine. In North America, Passive House buildings and Passive House professionals can be certified based on the standards of one of 2 distinct and independent institutions: the Passive House Institute, based in Darmstadt, Germany, and FIAS, based in Chicago, Illinois. The 2 group standards do differ in important ways, but both are firmly grounded in building science. Both employ those Passive House principles I just shared, and both focus on 3 key performance metrics: very low thermal energy demand, so using very little energy for heating or cooling; very low total energy demand, so not just heating and cooling, but also plug loads, lighting, and appliances; and superior air tightness, measured by a blower door test to ensure building durability, verify construction quality, and confirm energy performance. When you put it all together, you get a great, healthy building. But you also take a big step toward making your building a part of the climate solution rather than the climate problem. Because when you combine passive house performance with materials that have low upfront carbon emissions, or that even sequester carbon, and then you electrify everything, and you get that electricity from clean energy, that is the pathway to zero carbon building. So that's it. There's your cram session. Thanks for watching.
Now, coming back to this Transcendental Meditation Retreat Center in the Blue Ridge Mountains, it includes 28 Maharishi Vastu buildings. They're all built utilizing the Passive House standard. Let's take a look at some of the buildings. Here is a typical guest room. You can note the thickness of the walls by the windowsills. And in the middle at the top, you see a fresh air register. This brings in 100% outdoor air, which is preheated by the air that is exhausted. And also, the windows that you see, even though they are quite large, are triple glazed, so you don't feel cold when you're next to them. Here is a sunrise view. You can see the buildings are facing due east towards the sunrise, and because it's springtime, you can see the indigenous redbud growing on the left. As one enters the site, the first building that one sees is the dining hall. Behind it, stepping up the hill, you can see the different residential units. All these buildings are built according to Maharishi Sthapatyaveda and utilize passive house standards to be very energy efficient and mitigate global warming. Now, I'd like to share a few tips for using passive house standards. To get the full benefit of passive house, it's best to work with a trained consultant. Passive house is primarily concerned with energy efficiency, and certification requires numerical verification. Many projects nowadays are just attempting what is called near a passive house, a very efficient building, but not passing all the certification requirements. For instance, some building codes are moving quickly in the direction of passive house. The New York Stretch Code, for instance, is more stringent than the normal New York State Code. Also, this is a growing trend in construction. See the book Pretty Good House for basic information. Also, the FIAS prescriptive list, which is free. And lastly, I'd like to make the point that upgrading existing buildings is actually a very important goal of passive house. FIAS and PHI both have programs for this. Thank you.